Hey guys, welcome to screencast number 19. In this screencast we'll be again discussing time lapses. Now in a previous video I showed you how you can capture time lapse using your SLR camera and the chip microcontroller computer. Now in this video we will be assembling those images that you capture with your smartphone or your SLR or even a GoPro camera into a compact video file, and we'll be doing everything using Photoshop. Now I know that many of you might be surprised hearing the name of Photoshop when we are talking about video. Now this is a common misconception, and many of us do not realize that Photoshop has had video editing capabilities since CS6. Now the current version of Photoshop is 2017. It has had one previous CC version, that is Creative Cloud 2015. Now in CS6 you had to buy an extended version of Photoshop to add these video editing capabilities, but that is not the case anymore with CC. You just have to pay for one version of Photoshop, and that will include all the capabilities, all the functions and features of Photoshop into one single software. Now without further ado, let's go ahead and see how we can compile the photos we have taken into compact time-lapse video. Now on my desktop is a folder called Timelapse, which has all the photographs that I have taken using my GoPro. Now this is a dawn to sunrise photo which I took at 2 seconds intervals. You'll be able to see that the time-lapse starts from 4:29 AM and it goes into 5:53 AM, so almost an hour and a half. Now before we start with the time-lapse, I need to see how many frames are present inside this folder, which will help me determine the frame rate that I'm going to use in the final time-lapse. So I'll just press spacebar, which will show me the number of frames, which is 2501. It amounts to 5.74 GB. Now I don't want my time-lapse to be longer than 30 seconds, so I can easily make the calculations. 2500 frames, 30 seconds, the frame rate should be 83.33. Now once I've got the frame rate, I'll go ahead and launch Photoshop. Now in the 2017 version of Creative Cloud Photoshop, if I click on File, New to create a new document, you'll see there are some presets that are set of photo, print, art and illustration. Along with all the other things, we also have a film and video section which contains an assorted list of all the resolutions and settings for video. I'll select the HDTV 1080p, which will create a 1920 by 1080 pixels document. I'll just go ahead and create the document, and as you can see, it has created a 1080p document. I'll just go ahead and zoom out on this document, not much. Now the first thing we need to do is go to the window menu and show the timeline panel. Now the timeline panel is essential while you are editing video inside of Photoshop. Now I'll just go ahead and say to create the video timeline, which will create a video timeline for me. Now we calculated the frame rate to be 83.33. Now how to set that? So I will click this hamburger menu, which will give me a set of options. Along with these options there's a set timeline frame rate option, into which I'll enter 83.33. Press enter or click OK. This will set the document's frame rate to 83.33. Anything I import inside this document, it will have this frame rate, which is what we want. Now the next step is to import the set of images that we took into this document. Now we don't want to import a single image, neither do we want to go around importing images one by one. Not to worry, Photoshop has cool tricks for us. We'll go into the layer menu and select the video layer submenu. Inside this, we'll select new video layer from file. We will go into our desktop and select the time-lapse folder. Inside this, we will select the first image. Now as long as the images are in sequential numbering, Photoshop will import all the images into one single video file. We'll just select open. Now as you can see, Photoshop imported all the 2500 images into a video layer in a matter of seconds. Now this is one of the issues that I struggled with when I first started assembling time lapses. Now all the other time-lapse assembly softwares that are available out there, like per second or sequence, it either takes too long to import or it produces a mammoth gigantic output video file. Now Photoshop cuts me short on both these areas, balancing the import time with the file size. Now seeing the first frame of this imported video file, One would ask that why only a part of the sky has been imported. Now this is because the GoPro's resolution is much larger than the 1080p resolution. We need to compress that image, or we need to resize that image, and along with resizing we also need to crop out few pixels from the top and bottom, because the images from GoPro, or in fact any other SLR camera, is shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, whereas 1080p video is 16:9 aspect ratio. Now before we can resize and crop, the first thing we need to do is convert this video layer into a smart object. Now those of you that are regular users of Photoshop will instantly understand the power it just gave me by letting me convert this video into a smart object. Now smart objects are basically layers that you can edit in a non-destructive way. You can apply filters in a non-destructive way, you can resize, you can add masks, everything while not destroying the original content. Now Photoshop lets me convert a video file, which should be considered heavy because it has almost 2500 frames, into a smart object, and it does it in a matter of seconds. This is what I like about Photoshop. And since I discovered that Photoshop can be used as a powerful video editing tool, I instantly thought that I should use only Photoshop to compile my time lapses and nothing else. Now let's just go ahead and resize this frame. Now I have switched on the transformation controls and I will go ahead and start resizing. Now as I said before, that I have to accept the fact that I will have to edit out some footage from the top and the bottom of the image because of the aspect ratio problem. Now what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and lower this image so the sky is visible properly. I don't need the bottom part of the image much. So yes, this looks fine to me. I'll just zoom in. Yeah, so this looks absolutely fine to me. The sky is properly visible, the roads are visible even. Now what I'll do is, this GoPro shoots wide angle, so obviously there's a lens distortion. Now if I press Command Shift A, I can go into the filter menu and apply the camera raw filter. Now camera raw filter is again a very powerful filter which will help me minimize the distortion. Now see, this is only possible in Photoshop, and this is also possible because it let me convert a video layer into a smart object. So I can remove this distortion in a non-destructive way from this video layer. I don't think that this is possible in any other video editing software, and even if it is possible, it is definitely not as easy as this. So let me go ahead into the lens corrections menu and reduce the distortion. Okay, right about now my horizons look almost straight. Yeah, so I can just go ahead and click OK. Now note the fact that I can go and edit this particular distortion or modify this particular distortion at any point of time. So this is the power that Photoshop is providing me with, and personally speaking, I just love it. So there are some white borders that have come, so I'll just go ahead and transform this again. Slide to the right, slide to the left. Okay, now again I need to adjust the position of the image. Now since everything in this document is a Photoshop layer after all, we can do all the things that we could have done if this was an image and not a video. I will go ahead and add an adjustment. So I will add the color lookup adjustment and we'll add a LUT. So I'll add this Fuji Eterna 250D, which is a LUT by Adobe, and I think this looks absolutely gorgeous. Now let me go ahead and save this file on my desktop. So I will name this Timelapse 1, or rather only Timelapse. Now that we are done with the video aspect of this time lapse, we also need to add some audio. Now one option definitely is to render this video and then go into another software and add an audio file there. Now that would be a colossal waste of time. So Photoshop provided us with these audio tracks where you can add audio and perform very basic modifications to that particular audio. Now I'll go ahead, I'll click this music button and I'll get two options. One is of a new audio track. I don't need another audio track. One is sufficient for me, so I'll go ahead and add audio. Now on my desktop, I've already downloaded an audio file called Luminous Rain, which is from the YouTube music library. I'll select that and click on open. Now as you can see, the audio file is larger than our video. The file is almost 1 minute 50 seconds, whereas our video file is only 30 seconds. So we'll go ahead and resize this. Yeah, so it snaps into place. That is a good thing. So it has been resized. Now I need a fade in fade out time. So I'll select this arrow here and I'll select the fade in time as 0.3 seconds or 0.2 seconds in fact, and the fade out time as 5 seconds. Now once we are done with that, the next step and the final step that remains is to render the video. Now Photoshop has some pretty cool features to do that. I can go into the file menu and select the export submenu, which has the render video option. Now you can render the video in two ways. One is to use the Adobe Media Encoder, and the second is exporting this as a Photoshop image sequence. Now if you're building GIF files or you need a Photoshop image sequence, the second option is quite a powerful option. But now we need a video, so we will use the Adobe Media Encoder. Now since the beginning of Photoshop CC, Adobe has completely removed the need of an Adobe Media Encoder separately. It is no longer a separate software. Every Adobe app that needs a media encoder has it built in. Now the format will select as H.264. The preset we will be selecting as high quality. The size will be document size, and the frame rate will be document frame rate. Now note here that you can change the frame rate here as well. Now if you have recorded in a higher frame rate and choose a lower frame rate, the video will be played as slow motion, and if you've recorded in a slower frame rate and you choose a higher frame rate, of course the video will play at a faster speed. Now we need to export all the frames, so we'll select this all frames option. You can also select start frame and an end frame, and also an work area. Now once you've selected all these settings according to your preference, you also need to select an output folder. So I can click this button, select folder, and I'll select the output folder to desktop. So once we have done this, we can go ahead and click the render button, and this will start rendering the video. I will not make you watch through all of the render process, so I'll just pause the video and come back when the rendering is done. Now Photoshop has successfully finished rendering the video file, but in the meantime Mac has already started giving me these disk full and low disk space messages. So not to worry about that, I'll just close it out and save the Photoshop document for one last time. Now the only thing that remains is to preview the final video. I'll just minimize Photoshop, go into my desktop, and I will start previewing the video. So as you can see, the video plays as expected with our selected frame rate, and everything looks so beautiful. So with that, we come to the end of this video. Do give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This is Upamanyu signing off. Thank you.